So we received an excellent question recently around funding a life insurance policy with a lump sum. The question specifically was, what is the most efficient way to fund a policy if I have a lump sum of $600,000? So to kind of lay out the scenario, we have a 35-year-old male. The individual is 35 years old. Lump sum of money, $600,000. That's the amount of money they have. And the question again is, what is the most efficient method to fund a policy? Specifically, one lump sum, or do I spread it out over a number of years? And then the other goal was, I do not want to have payments after I fund the policy. After that $600,000 goes in, I am done. If there's an option where if I decide, hey, I want to keep on paying, that's great, but I don't want to be billed, like I don't want that option anymore. $600,000 in, and that's it. That is his present goal, so we want to show him how to accomplish that. There are times we will equip the policy to be able to fund for a longer period of time. So, on this question here, one lump sum or spread it out, the payment over a number of years. We actually ran a case study where we looked at spreading it out over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 years. So 1 year would be $600,000, one shot. Spread out over 6 years would be $100,000 per year for 6 years, totaling $600,000. You know, this is a good question because when it comes to a lump sum, often I would think if I have a company that has a dividend rate, say of, could be anything, 5.5%, maybe it's 6%, naturally, I would think what? If I get a lump sum of money into the product, starts to earn interest right away, I have access to it, should be great based off that dividend rate. Now we often talk about dividend rates being gross rates and such. What you will find though is when it comes to funding a policy with a lump sum, while it is true, I begin to earn dividends in the guaranteed rate, if I can get more money in quicker, there's an advantage there. The disadvantage, however, is I still have to deal with the insurance premium. So if you have not seen any of our content around policy design, how to design a policy for maximum cash value, my money can go toward the base premium, the PUA rider, the MEC limit. If you haven't seen any of that content, I would encourage you to watch that, as it'll lay more of a foundation for this, because the policy design is critical in this particular scenario. How low can I drive that premium, especially if I'm looking at a lump sum and I say, no more payments after that lump sum, like I'm done. I've got a point in time where I do not want to have to pay money into the policy. Some people are very specific about that, and that's okay. Whereas others may want the option to continue to fund the policy after a lump sum payment is made. That's the kind of discussion we want to have, or see the different models. So what we're going to look at here is a policy design with a 1090 split. And what that means, we're going to look at one of the samples, we're going to draw it out, and then we're going to look at actual numbers. 1090 split, $150,000 over 4 years for a total of $600,000 on a 35-year-old male. So 150 times 4 is again 600K total. I'm going to go through exactly how this works here. This will be interesting. So we've got 8 years. What do we see here? Year, base premium, 10%. So 1090 split represents what percentage of my money is going towards the base premium and what percentage is going towards the PUA rider. Often when speaking with someone, I'll mention you, the consumer, the policyholder, you can actually choose where your money goes in a life insurance policy. This way, if your goal is to optimize the cash value up front, long term, you've got a specific goal, understanding where that money goes, make sure that the policy is set up properly, and we reach our goals, we hit our targets. So, where's the money going? This would be my question if I'm the consumer purchasing a policy with the knowledge I have around life insurance. Of that $150,000, how much is going towards the base premium? In this case, we're driving it as low as we can with one particular company. We've got about 10% going there, $15,000, and the other $135,000 going towards PUAs. There's a term insurance rider attached, which skews these numbers a little bit. Our policy design content touches on that more. Main point though is we've got a minimal premium, minimum insurance expense, minimum compensation, maximum PUA allocation to drive that cash value up. So premium dollars, what happens with premium dollars in the first and sometimes the first and second year of a traditional life insurance policy? This is where a company overcharges me for the cost of insurance, specifically where I'm going here. In the first and second year, zero, a goose egg shows up in cash value. Now with the product we looked at here, that's not the case. It is only the first year that nothing shows up in cash value. So with a whole life insurance product, what the company is doing is overcharging me for the base premium up front. That's how they're satisfying the death benefit component of the policy. There are still expenses on that premium over time, but what you will find, let's put this in green, beginning year 2, that $15K is going to start to come back to cash value, money I can access, money that begins to compound for me. It does build equity. I like to hit on that point of emphasis because I hear the word premium and naturally I think what? What do you normally think when you hear the word premium? Expense, bill, have to pay it forever. If it's a premium, it means it's insurance. If it's car insurance, I got to get into an accident. Something bad has to happen. Not the case with cash value life insurance. So $15K base premium, $135,000 PUA rider for a total payment of $150 per year. And we got it in for 4 years for a total out of pocket of $600,000. That is our net out of pocket in this example. Okay. What happens years 5, 6, and 7? So going back to the original question, does it make sense to fund it with a lump sum up front? If I'm not paying the premium, it's still due. So in this example, I see that it is still due years 5, 6, and 7. You will find that your cash value will continue to grow. However, that premium still being due is technically, I'll refer to this as drag on the policy. It's an expense that's still due. The cash value will pay for it on its own from the dividends and guaranteed rate produced in the policy. It'll pay for the premium internally, and then everything else is kicked back to cash value. You're going to see this in a second here. Point being, that premium is still existent and it has to be paid somewhere. It's got to be satisfied. If I'm not paying out of pocket, the policy is going to satisfy it. So what's happening here is my out of pocket is in fact zero because my goal was $600K and that's it. Year 8, we execute what is called a reduced paid up option. This will lower the death benefit, it'll eliminate the base premium altogether, will reduce the death benefit, but the advantage here is now all of my dividends and interest do not need to pay a premium first. Instead, they can come back to cash value. You're going to see visuals in a second here, but that year 8, this is important to be aware of with life insurance right now. Year 8 is the earliest I can execute this based off of the current MEC laws. If I go reduced paid up anytime in the first 7 years, my death benefit will drop. This has to do with the MEC limit, that taxable line on a life insurance policy. If I drop the death benefit in the first 7 years, I can often trigger a modified endowment contract, and then I have to deal with taxes. Ruins everything is a simple way to put it, so we don't want that. So the earliest we can eliminate the premium is year 8. So going back to the lump sum question, if I make a one-time lump sum payment of $600,000, what would that mean from a design standpoint? What would all of this look like? Well, I would see a $60,000 base premium, 10%. In the first year, you'd see $540K go into PUAs for a total of $600. But then year 2, if that lump sum was it, that $60K would still be due through year 7 that the policy has to pay for itself on its own. That is going to cause a lot of drag. I've got a higher insurance expense now. Let's take a look. Hopefully that wasn't too confusing. So what we're going to look at first is an example of looking at 1, 3, 4, and 6 years. Just so you're aware, we looked at a study here. We conducted the study, funding it in one lump sum through 6 years. We're going to simplify here and just look at 4 options. On the left, we've got the lump sum. And this is a non-MEC, by the way. All of these are non-MECs. So we've got the classic benefits of cash value life insurance, safe, liquid, and tax-free if I do everything right. All right, so here we go. 600,000. Base premium here, let's circle this in red, still due through year 7. Annual outlay, this is our net out of pocket, is 0, so I'm paying nothing. What's happening to your cash value? This might be a little small. Year 1, I paid in 600. I've got just about 530, 528 to be precise. Now this is on a 35-year-old male, so I do see the cash value is growing based off the present dividend rate, not by much. Year 6 to 7, it grows by about $5,000, but then look at year 8. Grows from 571 to 594. Big jump in cash value growth. The reason why is we executed a reduced paid up option, eliminating the base premium. So now all of my dividends and interest are kicked back into cash value. Why this death benefit so high, by the way, $19.6 million for a 35-year-old male, is that obtains him a MEC limit of $600K. That's why. Minimum death benefit based off desired payment. Then we've got spreading it out over 3 years. Much, much better. Total of $600K. I'm paying the premium now out of pocket for 3 years. I'm covering that, and it only has to pay for itself for 4 years. So there's a shorter duration of drag. Lower base premium. I'm also funding it, getting the policy up and running, so by the time that premium does have to be paid on its own, now I've got enough interest being generated where it can cover it much easier as well. Paying for a little bit longer than 1 year is helpful, especially if I want to rely on the policy to pay for the premium on my own. What's highlighted in yellow represents my break-even point between years 3 and 4. That's great. Okay. Cash value keeps on growing. Over here, spreading it out over 4 years. Same break-even point. What has more cash value 20 years down the road? 3-pay, 1.139. 4-pay, 1.142. What do we got? About a $3,000 difference there? Not even. So looking at it here, it's almost like, okay, what's the difference? I might as well go with the 3-pay option because I've got more cash up front in the event that I like getting into a policy faster, I like seeing it there, maybe I like the higher death benefit initially, whatever it might be. The one note I want to make here, or observation, this is based off of the present dividend values. We're going to look at the guarantees next, which is so important to look at when we're looking at lump sum funding scenarios. We always do this. I like to stress test it on the back end. Even if we don't go through every scenario with those we work with, we do like to look at this because it's important, especially if things go south. Then we've got the 6-year fund. 100K per year for 6 years, 1 year of drag, $10,000 premium due in year 7. But what's interesting about this? Year 20, you're at 1.19. About $23,000 less in the 6-pay scenario compared to the 4-pay scenario. Why is that? Well, compound interest. Based off the present dividend rate, getting money into a product faster, even with that premium and drag, the interest earned exceeded it, made more sense, based on the present dividend rate. So we've got those values. Who's the winner here? The 4-pay. Okay, let's look at the guarantees here. So here's where a lump sum scenario doesn't really work. And the older we are, the worse this gets. The older we grow, typically, the longer we want to spread funding out. 20 years to break even, 21. Let's scratch that. Let's look at the other guys here. 3 years and 4 years. Break-even point based off the 3 pay. It's just about year 7. I'm at $599. 7 years. Guarantees, not bad. How about the 4 pay? Now that's more like it. Just about positive in year 5. Positive year 6. Cash value keeps on growing. Cash value, $940,000. Compared to the 6 pay, break even, 5 and 6, very similar to that of the 4 pay, breaking it up over 4 years. But now, over 20 years, you've got 947, about 948. Where over here you had 940 to 941. So the 6 pay is a little bit stronger there. Not to say one's better than the other, it depends how quickly I want to get it in. Maybe I still pay the base premium for a couple of years. There's different ways you can slice it. But it is valuable to see this up front as a consumer and an agent when we're looking at the different options to make sure we are always doing what is in the best interest of who? The consumer, the person paying their money into the product. So hopefully I didn't talk too much and not answer the question. What's the most efficient method to fund a policy spread out over a number of years? The answer, to get to the point, is that it depends on our age, really. If we're older, we're going to want to spread it out a bit further. Between 4 and 6 is almost always going to be the sweet spot if I'm 60 years old or something like that, guaranteed and non-guaranteed. But it does depend on our age. Typically, it's never a one-time lump sum. If I'm mid-30s, somewhere between that 3 and 5 pay range will likely be ideal. Looking at maybe a conservative dividend rate. Don't have to go all the way down to the guarantees. Good to see it if you'd like to play conservative. In any event, I hope you enjoyed this. Reach out if you have any questions at all. And as always, I hope this helps. Hey guys, Steve Parisi here. If you enjoyed the content you just saw, please subscribe, like, and hit the notification bell for future videos. If you'd like more information or to see some custom policies for yourself, feel free to call or email our offices at the contact information below.